Alexis Lane, part 5. So I'm going to start with my sprites. So my sprites here. It's a whole truckload of interesting things. I've got my font manager, my sprite manager, my actual sprite along with the string and the font. So what I can pull up first is going to be the actual sprite itself. Has a lot of random crap in it, it feels. But everything does work except for the set scale pixel. And I tried to do it as a scale, and then I realized that's not right. So then I tried to do it where I resized the image rectangle. That didn't work. So I was like, screw whatever the heck's going on with that. I don't understand this. I'm just gonna make a whole new object, which I know is very inefficient, but it works. My set scale factor does work, as it is an actual scale along with the position and the angle. Center is kind of just there. And then the rendering out, you just change up your world matrix, reset it, and you render it. Along with the ability to get your angle, width, and height. This can be mostly demonstrated with my wonderful sprite test. So in my sprite test, I just have it set up so that my little dude can do a whole bunch of craziness. So I'm just going to do these first two for now, which I did demo in my last video. We're just gonna leak some memory real quick because I was forgetting that I was going to do this. In the meantime, obviously, it's gonna take a century, so I got other classes I need to talk about. Font string. So in the font, I attempted to do flyweight, and I don't think I did it correctly, but I attempted it. And so in it, you can get the glyph, and you will have your font map and your texture set out. In it, I also have the XML collection and the create glyph. So here, I forget to have my R be changing. I only had it as 1, but originally it is flipped over, so I'll redo it real quick. And in the meantime, I'll go into here. So this will go through, parse out everything all given to us. For the glyph, I'll just go ahead and find it. And more on the important side is that I do. There she goes! Holy cow! So fast. But it goes. Okay. Forgot it went that fast. I didn't have it at 1 earlier. You've got your assignment operator and your copy constructor working out. The fun part was figuring out how to do the texture, or not the texture manager, to get my texture manager to line up with my sprite manager to line up with, or sprite font manager to line up with my XML stuff. So I have to have the user. It's an easy thing to do. In the loading of the resources, what needs to happen is in my texture manager. So you load in your texture, load it in with the name of the file minus the extension, along with the file with the extension. So without the extension needs to be your key. So that way, when you come in here and you want to load up your font, you have the name of the file and the name of the file. First one is used to, I even have the thing labeled out, file name, no extension. That's what it needs to be. So that way, when I go in here, again, checking to make sure that keys aren't used again. When it's the case, then I can go into the actual font and it'll get the correct texture because now it has the thing. And then, wonderfully enough, because you use the name as the key in the texture and in the sprite font, you can append everything so that you can get the XML file out of just the key, which is a nice little thing to have. The sprite string is a little wonky, works. I can get the height and the width of everything, show it in here. The render just goes through. This is the part where I think I'm not doing the fly rate right because I am setting the position every time I render it, which now that I think about it, is really inefficient. So then it just renders out with that 2D camera that I have yet to talk about. It goes through, you can set it so that way you have, in the sprite string, I have it set up so that it is a map, or sorry, not a map, a list of a pair, which sounds a little funny. I was switching between list and map, so I couldn't remember what I left off with. So my pair is of a pair, so I can have the vector 2D, kind of like in the centipede class, and then the other one, so I tossed that in the second side, and then the other one is the sprite that I will need to print to this, to print to the screen. Then we also just have, it just goes through, deletes everything out. And here I calculate the height just by getting the height of the glyph. I only allow for it to go along one side. If you want it to have any thing below, you're going to have to make a new string at that given location, and then I just scoot it over every time by getting the width of my current letter. That way it keeps scooting over, and that way I can also get my total width down. So that will be that. For the actual sprite manager, I didn't necessarily bring this up with my Hermit sprite. With the Hermit sprite, you can go in, and this is where I got Stitch from, so it comes from the texture manager and in here with the sprite manager. Both the sprite manager and the sprite font manager have their respective attorneys. So then I just go ahead and insert this also as, should be as a list as well. So in here, as a map, in a map as well. So it gets tossed into a map with its key and with its image. So you got your two different types of loads in your sprite manager. You have the loadability without rectangle, and the rectangle is just automatically made via the texture. Otherwise, you can toss one in there and make the image like that. So I called it the sprite manager documentation, or not my documentation, but on the slides it was listed as image manager. Just a switch of the names. So nothing to worry about there. With their, what I was saying before, with their attorneys, those are being used for deletion purposes, just like the model and other managers, all the resource managers. That's what I'm trying to get at, which is taken care of in here in my actual Hermit main class. Or not main class, but my Hermit main engine class. So it's taken care of in there. So I'll go ahead and play it so I can show the string. String does allow for repeated characters because I am adjusting the position for them in my way that should be more efficient. More things that I need to talk about still is going to be with the cameras and with the scene. And then last but not least, the documentation, along with my changing of the size for my sprite. So here's my wonderful text. You can see I have amazing. I didn't even realize this does not have any of the same characters. Okay, so funny. Well, we can adjust that along with my testing of my sprite. Apparently I thought that would be enough. So instead we'll use the wonderful term Magree, because that's what we use for climbing. And that's where I was earlier today because of work. So Gree's are put in there, and in the test sprite we'll switch out the angle and the position. Oh, yikes. That's why the plus can't be there. So we'll do that, and then I'll have to play it one more time so that I can show the scaling of the pixel as well. With my camera manager, it was basically that I had the same thing going on. My Sauron camera is currently just hard-coded in there as the if statement. I'll get to that in a second. On the camera manager, you are starting with 2 cameras. If I could pull it up, I would. Okay, that guy's just going way too fast. But you can see how, wow, things went funky there. Why were you going so crazy for? We'll do this, 0.1. Whoa. 1.1. Okay, so that guy went crazy. This one, I also think is gonna get super huge for the pixel. I've kind of started to run out of things to talk about, so yep. Kind of looking through documentation. There we go. That's the set pixel one. And quickly do that. We're gonna do this to 0.005 is where I originally had it at. So hopefully that one will work. It's working earlier. I'd be quite upset. Quite upset on top of the upsetness that I already have, because this is stressing me out. So the documentation, like I said before, now that I look at the requirements for what's going on here, okay, well, there she goes. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. That makes me mad. Documentation, I have it for the most part in here, except for the scene setup. That was, or like how to start a new game. Sorry, there was one part in the newer version of the document that I didn't print out, where it said, "Hey, you should be able to show that or some part of the document where I didn't see that it said you should show the user how to set up a new game. So other than that, I don't have that part, but I do have my examples within my code, and I have my demos and my intro screen set up. So camera manager, we have my 2 wonderful cameras in here. Those are the get functions. My wonderful bunches of cameras, and you can get them. You can set them. Yeah, well, excuse me. And like I said, those are my deletes. But here we go. 2D camera, where I've got it set to orthographic versus my 3D camera, which is the 3D, versus my Sauron camera. Good old Sauron. Just with the movements as needed. It's just set up as a 3D camera. Nothing special. So in the camera manager, we have this gross thing, because I'm not giving this wonderful tool to my users. It is for me, only for me, to be taken out by me. Then it just goes through and it will, in here, get the camera, get my 2D camera sets as need be. Which leads me into the scene, because I remember brilliantly that the scene is not supposed to have a camera in it. It doesn't have a camera in it. Go me. But it has all my managers in it, and no longer has the stupid scene broker in it, which is amazing. And my computer is telling me it's dying. Here's the collision pairs and the collisions themselves, which I have going on in here, where I set my collision pairs and my collision self. So in the next video, I will briefly re-go over that part as well, along with my wonderful scene attorney, which is friends with these dudes. But these dudes, such as Drabble, are only friend to themselves, or to their own attorney. So they're not, the attorneys are also not friends of attorneys anymore, like I stated in a previous video. Back to my what's that? Not something I want to see right now. Scene attorney, scene. My init scene and end scene are virtualed out so that I can overload them. In the order of events, my processor executes all the commands, so everything gets executed. And then my alarms will be going off along with the keys, collision, and then the camera, and then everything gets updated. And then my scene command will execute. It'll execute to the null if it's not a scene change. So I will grab my computer charger in a moment here, and we will continue in video 6. Oof.